Welcome to Politically Deconstructing with myself, Kass, and my lovely co-host, Lady Googs. Today we're going to be really getting into it because there has been so much news I never knew I needed over the weekend. And usually weekend news dumps are a little slow. It's kind of hard to come back on a Monday. But apparently, if we wait till Tuesday, it's on and popping.
On and popping.
What are you wanting to start with today? What do you think is best?
I don't know. What all are we going to cover today? I know I wanted to talk a little bit about Department of Homeland spending and the private prison system and where our tax dollars are going. You had a couple things you wanted to maybe bring up. What are some highlights?
I think, maybe we can start with I think what might be funny to talk about at first, just kind of started off on a light note. MAGA whining about Hunter Hess has turned into my absolute favorite thing to watch on flippin' Twitter. Hold on, I have a list right here. Let me get it real quick.
This is great, guys. Like the amount of people that are losing their mind. By the way, the few of you that are in here, if you could just tap and share it out, please. We're getting a little bit of a slow start. Help us get this out to people.
For sure, Z's. Trump, Harmeet Dillon. She's head of the DOJ Civil Rights Division, by the way, which is why I find that more problematic, these statements from her. Byron Donalds, Rick Scott, Rudy Giuliani, several high-ranking Republican officials, all the usual suspects, And then a lot of podcasters, too, which is, weird, are, getting into this thing that Hunter has said, which is literally a 30-second clip, right? This guy says, and I could probably find the clip and play it if we need to, but it's really unnecessary because anybody can go find it. All he says is I believe he's asked a question about, representing, and he's like, I kind of have mixed emotions right now about representing the U.S. in the, Olympic Games. But basically he goes to, if it aligns with my morality, I'm representing it, and he doesn't get specific. For all we know, his morality is that he doesn't agree with a lot of migrants being in the country. I mean, I hope that's not the case, but for all we know, from what
he did not give any specific.
He didn't give anything specific. Well, all of these people have come out and said something to the effect of, basically, he doesn't deserve to be on the team. He specifically said that he hates representing the U.S., which is not what he said at all. You can absolutely go look up his statement. Not a word of that came out of him. And multiple Olympic athletes have made statements on this, by the way. He is not the only one, but he is damn sure the only one that they are going after. And my personal take on it, from what I understood about him, he's from Oregon, and if you look at him, he's very much quintessential American boy look, very
kind of boy next door.
Very boy next door, white male, shaggy, sort of dirty blonde hair.
Oh, the mop top hair,
very much American boy feel. And I think that stung a bit for that. And as far as I could learn, he is very much a cis straight white man. I don't mean to misquote. I'm not trying to pin you down, Hunter Hess, but that was what I gathered from what
that's what I heard.
So they can't claim he's a DEI hire, right? They can't make those allegations. So now they're going to deflect to he said something he didn't say, which turns out to be rather a theme sort of ongoing with MAGA.
It does, in fact.
But I found it hilarious that they're so pressed that he said this, as if every athlete at the Olympic Games fully endorses everything that their country does. I mean, I could be wrong. Don't they have Russia competing there, China, North Korea even? Don't they compete as well?
Yep, they do. Dude,
That's crazy.
it's crazy. What I find interesting is that anybody could have an issue with the statement, I have mixed feelings about our country right now. Because I genuinely feel like no matter what side of the aisle you're
Yeah.
on, whether you're leaning left, you're leaning right, or you're right here in the middle like we are, mixed feelings kind of comes along with the territory. If you're supporting left policies, there's a lot to have mixed feelings about. If you are supporting right policies, there is a lot to have mixed feelings about. Like, and if you're in the middle, it's all
Yeah, we're all
mixed
over the
feelings.
place
So
here.
it's not even like that's a controversial statement. That's kind of like facts in America right now.
Well, and what bothered me so much was like he didn't specifically say what it was. Like if he had said, I don't support Trump's whatever,
Right.
I would have I'm
Or fuck ICE
yeah.
or any number of things that could have been
Yeah,
said.
I would have like maybe understood the attack more, but what he said was so innocuous in the way that he portrayed it, so unspecific that I just could not for the life of me fathom what the hell was going on. So, yeah,
It is an interesting thing to get pressed about.
yeah, it felt very why are we doing this?
It almost feels very like I want to be a victim. Like I want to take it the way I want to take it so that I have just another reason to be outraged, which I feel like is kind of like everybody's bag right now.
I actually have another story coming up in this episode where we will see the exact same thing play out only on the Texas level because this just happened like a day or two ago and it's real fun. So yeah, it's very much, I heard what I want to hear. The words don't matter. What you actually said doesn't matter. It's you implied this. So yeah, it's crazy shit.
Do you maybe want to go into that since it ties into what we're talking about right now?
Sure, for sure. Okay, so this is really good shit. So we have AG candidates right now, multiple AG candidates, but the one who's sort of the front runner, at least on the Republican side, is a guy named Aaron Reitz. Our current AG is Ken Paxton. He is sort of his little right-hand man. So Jean Wu, I guess over the weekend had made a statement to the effect of, and again, I can play the statement, it's not very long, to the effect of, you know, basically if minorities start to realize, and this is very specifically related to Texas as well, we actually are, most people are unaware of this, a majority minority state, meaning people of Latino descent, Asian American, all that, they actually outnumber people of white descent. Like there's nothing unfactual about what he fucking said.
Right.
What his statement was, if minorities in Texas and all over the US came together, they would realize that they could work together and capitalize their power to affect real change for everybody. That was the essence of Jean Wu's statement. But as fragile white men do with receding hairlines, they took this as minorities want to take over Texas and get rid of white people. So
it's giving victimhood.
Yeah, it's very much giving victimhood. So I'm not really sure if we're living in the same reality as these people at this point, because I listened to it, and if he would have said something even remotely like that, I would have absolutely called him on it, because I'm actually not a fan of Jean Wu. Like he's very much we have very different policy ideas. I would have been like, nah, bitch, you said this shit. He said nothing of the sort. So
wild.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Right.
Here's a topic that may bring people in. I want to talk a little bit about the Department of Homeland Security and their budget and where our money is going.
I'm here for it.
So The Department of Homeland Security, as most of you know, was established right after 9/11, right? Like it's a fairly new agency. And up until this year, or 2025, we had roughly 10,000 ICE agents that were in charge of, I don't know, immigration, rounding people up. On average, I want to say back in Trump's first administration, 2018, we normally housed about 14,000 undocumented persons a day. Does anybody want to take do you want to take a wild guess what our average is currently on how many undocumented people we are currently housing? Not deporting, we're just keeping in our prison systems.
That's actually a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, so 73,000 people a day on average is what we're holding, and the estimates are somewhere close to wanting to be around 100,000 people at the end of January. We haven't gotten those numbers yet, but that's what they were estimating. We were going to have 100,000 people in our private prison systems under immigration right now. So it is, in fact, because private prison systems are making a fortune off of the Trump administration and ultimately off of our tax dollars. They're reporting somewhere in the ballpark of a 55% increase in their income. Right. Like I would love for my income to go up 55%. So as we all know, the big, beautiful bill took up and gave ICE $75 billion in additional budget funding, which equates to about $25 billion a year additional. Puts their ballpark budget somewhere in the realm of $65 billion a year. However, there's a caveat to that. I looked them up, and they have about 16 different small subsidies under the Department of Homeland Security that aren't part of the actual budget. Altogether, those 16 different little departments that operate under DHS, they have a $350 billion a year budget. That's what, Cass? Roughly a third of our Department of Defense budget?
I mean, yeah, about, yeah, I think the Department of Defense is around about 900 billion. So yeah,
Right.
about a third roughly.
Department of Homeland Security, with their shadow budget, $350 billion a year. Ironically, not that this matters, but those ACA credits that we wanted to keep going, or at least I did, would have cost us about $350 billion over the course of 10 years. But this is Department of Homeland Security's 1 year budget.
Wait. So you're telling me that I can get rid of the Gestapo and keep healthcare subsidies?
For 10 years, a decade, for 1 year of their budget. Yeah, that's a thing.
Yes, please. I'll do it. Yeah. Okay.
So we hired 12,500 additional ICE agents on top of the 10,000 we already have. And let's just say, for shits and giggles, we're paying them about $100,000 a year with their overtime and salary. That comes out to what? Roughly $2.5 billion a year in payroll. We have a $65 billion actual budget. Where's all that money going, Cass? Where's all the money going? Their overhead for ICE agents and administrative staff is around $2.5 billion. Where's the money going?
I don't know. Interesting. I'm curious now.
Private prison systems. Systems that are providing housing for these immigrants. And it's so much deeper than just... what was the estimate we looked up? Somewhere around $165 a day is the average that it's costing the American taxpayer to keep these 73,000 individuals in custody.
Yep.
Do you know what that averages out to a day? Like $12 million. Remember our waste, fraud, and abuse? We are currently paying $12 million a day, not to deport people. We're paying private prison systems to house them. $12 million. That is your tax dollars, ladies and gentlemen, hard at work.
And just out of curiosity, I think we looked up something else the other day, and it was really interesting to us when we found that number. Do you remember what the number was for the when we did the program where we released people who had a good likelihood of returning, no criminal history and things like that? Do you remember what that number was?
I think it was like $6 a day to monitor.
Maximum.
Yeah, maximum. It cost taxpayers $6 a day. We used to, pre this Trump administration, if you didn't have a criminal record, if you had an address and a place where we could keep in touch with you, we would release you on bond. And for the bargain basement price of less than $6 a day, we could keep track of you administratively and make sure that you came to your appointments and we knew where you were. Now, we are paying the absolute bargain basement price of $165 a day. Some estimates are closer to $187 a day, which would, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's about $13 million a day we're paying.
Per detainee, by the way. That's per detainee. Like
per person per day. Per person per day.
And I believe when I looked at the range, it actually ranged from like 85 or something dollars a day to up to like $550 a day. So like
it depends on where you're being average. We're giving you a average. If you know math, average, like not MAGA math, like real math, like not prescription. We're not prescription prices being cut by 500%. That's not real, but like real math. I'm sorry. Speaking of real math, remember how I told you that we had, we used to house like 14,000 people on average? Well, under Biden's presidency, everybody likes to claim that we didn't care about immigration then. Well, we did. And Biden was actually deporting at a much higher rate and was actually taking in people. We were housing about 40,000 people when Trump took office. So it's not like we had not increased detaining people to get them out of the country. We absolutely have. But since Trump took office, we've had a 73% increase in keeping people in the private prison system. And didn't we just talk in Minnesota about that immigration attorney who just had a whole meltdown because even when the court system was ordering people to be released, we found out that our Department of Justice and Department of Homeland Security were not actually complying with those orders. Wasn't there something about that, Kass?
Yeah, there's been multiple, or I wouldn't say multiple, but there's been at least a few hearings we've heard of where judges have been pissed because they're making orders. And, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like the big boss at work comes in, right? Not your just mediocre manager, but it's kind of like the big boss comes in and says, you need to do this and you need to do it now. And you're just giving them the finger. Now, normally that results in a firing, but since we're dealing with the governmental monopoly on just crime and doing whatever the fuck they want, that's what we're looking at right now. And judges are pissed. They're frustrated, and they're like, how are you not understanding when I say immediate release, it means fucking immediate.
Right, not find them in 2 or 3 weeks and get back to me. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that $165 a day. So when the court comes in and says, and what the court said was overwhelmingly they are finding that the majority of people that are being detained, there is no lawful reason to detain them. So we are paying $12 million a day to house people that the courts are finding we have no legal right to hold. And when the court said, hey, release them, guess what? They're not releasing them. They're kicking the can down the road, and 3 or 4 weeks later coming back and saying, oh, there was some administrative paperwork. We haven't found them yet. We've got to get them back from Texas or wherever we shipped them off to, and we'll get around to releasing them, and you're still paying for them to be detained.
Yeah, like
sounds like a lot of money.
So Kyle Cheney actually wrote a whole thing in Politico about this. So if nobody's read this article from Kyle Cheney, it's really brilliant. Kind of breaks down sort of the overwhelming issues going on with them denying orders. A bigger issue that judges are running into right now as well, since we were kind of talking about that, as well as like just outright not complying, is that they're releasing them conditionally when they have just been ordered to release because they didn't do anything wrong. The judge is like, you can't detain them, let them go. And they're saying they have to be ankle monitored. They have to do this. They have to do this. And the judge is like, that's not what I said. Why are you doing this? There's absolutely no reason to. It's literal outright just defiance of judges in the courts. And like people have said like, well, if it goes to SCOTUS, you know, this is what really makes me feel that even a SCOTUS check will ultimately maybe be ineffective because the executive branch enforces the law. A judge can issue a paper order, but the executive branch executes that order. And if they refuse to hold themselves accountable, you're kind of in a pickle. And I love the energy of people still saying that, and I'm still hoping for it. But either way, they're outright defying judges' orders right now. Multiple attorneys have quit. We've seen a swath of attorneys.
Just had a new one. Just what, yesterday or the day before, didn't we?
Yeah, we had
almost 30 years
yep.
working through. Yeah.
Let's see. Sorry, I have it written down. I was just trying to find it.
You're fine.
So the chief counsel of the ICE office, Jim Stoley in Minnesota, retired this past Friday. The same week that we had the thing go on with Julie Lee, also who worked for ICE but went over to the AUSA to help out. She was previously an ICE attorney. We don't know what's happened with her yet. I'm betting she's fired, but nobody wants to announce it. And then Trisha McLaughlin from the Trump administration said he was scheduled to retire, but I'm really thinking that this timing is suspicious, and he has not returned comment. So, but you know, I'll run with it on that. But we also had Anna Voss. She headed up she was chief of the civil division in the Minnesota AUSA office. She was previously announced to resign, but she has officially left as of now. She followed Joe Thompson and multiple other attorneys out the door who resigned. So, yeah.
That's wild. That's wild. I just want to like put this in perspective for people. Like $45 billion a year. That's about what we're paying the private prison system right now. Like, I want you to think about that number. I want you to think about football stadiums. I like football stadiums. I go to a lot of sporting events. The Las Vegas Raiders just built, I went there this year, luxury suite, top of the line, marble floors, beautiful. Do you know roughly what that stadium cost to build?
No idea.
Around $2 billion. Around $2 billion. We have $45 billion allocated to build new ICE detention centers. That's 22 and a half brand new state-of-the-art NFL football stadiums that we're going to build detention centers with.
It's almost like, and call me crazy, we could be building more schools or paying teachers more or like doing any fucking thing else with this money. Listen, don't get me started on my like freaking prison industrial complex like diatribe. But we have the highest incarcerated citizens per capita already. Are we trying to like win on that number? Because I don't want to.
So I want to bring up a couple things you said there. One, I want to hit on that teacher thing because that teacher thing is really important. You know how we've seen many children being detained. We just saw the 5-year-old get detained. So do you know that private prisons are actually incentivized to house children? The government pays more money when you're housing children. That average of $165, it actually goes up to about $200 a day for kids because the ratio of staff has to be different. Also, they have to have teachers on salary. And this is something really interesting I found out about prison systems hiring teachers. If they hire a teacher in for the children that they're housing, they may pay that teacher $80,000 a year. Do you want to know the bill they give the government for that same teacher? Around $130,000 a year. So the prison is making an additional $50,000 in profit off of the taxpayer for having to employ a teacher at $80,000. But they're charging us $130,000 for the teacher that they're giving an $80,000 salary to. I wonder if that incentivizes anybody to maybe not want to release kids.
And to be clear, just to be clear, $80,000 is good for a teacher. They're normally averaging 50 to 60K. I mean, it's more in blue states and where they pay more and stuff like that. But you're in Texas, 50, 60K a year. That's probably what you're averaging.
You might hit 70 if you've got your master's, maybe. And so that's super fun. So that's one. What did you also say? We were talking about the military or the prison.
Highest incarcerated citizens per capita. That was what I was talking.
I don't remember what I was going to say. I lost it because I really wanted to hit on that teacher thing. Like, no, it's fine. That teacher thing. But as far as that's what it was. It was so we are supposed to be deporting people, right? Like that's the whole shtick. We want people out of our country that don't belong here. That's what they claim. So I told you that we're now housing $73,000, but we've got all this money allocated to build additional detention facilities. Do detention facilities scream we're deporting people, or do they scream we're keeping people? We are on track to have 135,000 people on any given day detained. That's the quota that the government is trying to hit. 135,000 people? That doesn't sound like we're moving to get rid of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, it certainly begs the question, like, they're going to make the argument, like, they're gonna deport them, like, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that. It actually
there's no legislation. There's no legislation to streamline the process. So instead of them being out making money, paying taxes, doing any of the things they were doing before, now we are going to pay for them for 3 hots and a cot.
Well, I know, like Law said, one of the practices that they're kind of in Minnesota right now, right, is that they're just fucking filing habeas petitions. Anybody they can file a habeas petition on, they are doing it on. And it's because the point is to point out like the inconsistencies there, not only to get these people relief, right? Like that's the end goal, obviously. Right. But it's to point out like just how bad of a job they are doing at this. And like, I agree with them like that, you know, it certainly says a lot. Like, if people aren't aware of this is specific to Minnesota. So has anybody heard of Operation Paris?
No.
Okay. So this is interesting. So Operation Paris was something that DHS and Trump started through executive orders. And I'll kind of read this off to you. This is a little synopsis of what it is. The initial focus is on Minnesota's 5,600 refugees who have not been given lawful permanent resident status. USCIS newly established vetting center is leading Operation Paris, the post-admission refugee re-verification and integrity strengthening, with adjudicators conducting thorough background checks, re-interviews, and merit reviews of refugee claims. Began in mid-December, is now referring cases to ICE. Operation Paris is part of a broader strategy to implement enhanced screening standards under these executive orders. These directives require federal agencies to identify and implement new vetting enhancements to safeguard the nation from foreign terrorists and other public safety threats. Why did they start this? It had to do with the fraud claims in Minnesota. Just to be so abundantly clear about why this started.
Did you just say they're re-vetting people? They're putting them through unnecessary re-evaluation after they have already been evaluated?
Yes, ma'am, but it gets better. You're gonna love this part. So,
am I gonna love it?
You're gonna love it. Judge Tunheim in Minnesota.
Thank you, Jessica.
Yes, thank you. He was literally pulling zero fucking punches. He was asked to reconsider a previous order he gave where he was like, no, fuck that. You ain't doing that shit. Well, I kind of read into this order he gave, and he basically said the same thing again. So what it was is he was asked to reconsider this about regarding refugees being arrested while doing their yearly check-ins. And he ordered that ICE cannot arrest or detain while litigation plays out, stating the 1 year check-in is just that, an inspection. There is no requirement that refugees be re-vetted. Mandatory detention seems to be clearly a solution in search of a problem because they were just detaining these people. They didn't give a fuck.
Right.
He said seems to be clearly a solution or a solution in search of a problem. He said the swift reinterpretation of long held and consistently understood application of the law raises serious constitutional questions that must be addressed by this court. He was given zero shits, and that came out yesterday. He was done. He was like, you're not going to do this shit. You're not just going to pick people up and arrest them and tell them they have to be revetted. You're not doing it.
Speaking of re-vetting people and the fact that they're rolling back those, I found it interesting, and I don't know how many people are aware of this, crime rates. We have often heard the rhetoric that we are going after the worst of the worst, that we are going after criminals. Those are the people that we're pulling off the streets. This is what we're doing. And you know, the argument is, well, why is everybody so against it? We're getting the worst of the worst off the street. So just for funsies, I went to the Department of Homeland Security themselves and looked at their numbers. Their numbers indicate that 26% of people currently being held have some kind of criminal conviction. They also claim that about 24% more have pending litigation against them. However, 76% of those people, it's for shit like traffic offenses. It has been found by Department of Homeland Security's own numbers that less than 5% of those 73,000 people we're currently housing have any kind of violent criminal conviction. Less than 5%.
I absolutely
believe it. That's their numbers. That's their numbers. I'm not getting this from an outside source. Their reports are less than 5%. That comes out to about 3,000 people out of 73,000 people that have violent crimes against them. Like, I want you to think about that for a minute.
Well, and the reality is, and people never want to acknowledge it, is that migrants commit crimes at significantly lower rates than the average citizen overall, particularly felony class, like crimes, right? Like, I'm going to be so honest with y'all. Almost all of y'all have probably committed a misdemeanor and either were unaware of it or didn't give a fuck, right? Like, it's so common that people just aren't aware of these things. But like felony level assaults, things like that, they commit those crimes at overwhelmingly lower rates than American citizens. And actually, having a high migrant population in your area will overall statistically lower your crime rates.
Nobody wants to hear those facts, Cass. That doesn't fit the narrative. It doesn't fit anybody's narrative.
I just like,
Wild.
here's my thing. If you want to not like people, I am cool with that. But if you want to deport people, do it legally. Listen, I am not fully against deportation. Like I am if they committed some sort of violent offense, I'm not going to be against it.
Absolutely.
That's the one
Nope.
part I'll bend on. However,
Yep.
you still have to do it legally. You can be the biggest piece of crap in the world, and I will not care. I will still advocate for all your constitutional rights to be observed. I will still advocate for you to get a fair trial. I will still advocate for all your rights, because it doesn't matter. Because once I let somebody come for one person's rights, they can come for anybody's rights. That's how that works.
They came for the immigrants, and I spoke the fuck up because I know the rest of the fucking poem.
That part. That fucking part. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Super fun.
Speaking of other MAGA bags of shit.
Ooh.
Laura Loomer. Laura fucking Loomer. So Laura Loomer is out here in these streets. At least I've traced it back to her. This is the farthest I was able to trace it back. So everybody knows who Savannah Guthrie is, right? Like the Today Show, or is it Today Show?
Today Show news anchor, yes.
She's the Today Show news anchor. Her mother was kidnapped. Laura Loomer said, I'm not saying she deserved it, but she was mean about Daddy Trump. Well, now multiple people have been making videos basically saying the same shit. And I'm going to tell you the same shit I said about the last thing. I don't care how big of a piece of crap you are. You do not deserve to have bad things happen to you. And I will hold that line every time. And because these people love to cosplay as a Christian, I really wanted to read this in regard to this whole thing. If they feel, or if you feel like Savannah Guthrie hated on Daddy Trump too much, and you're a Christian and you don't really think she deserved it, but she kind of deserved it, I want you to fucking remember this. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. Just saying. Oh, thank you, Law. I just think those are trash humans. Just
aren't those the same people that got like super upset when some of the people on the left weren't super upset about what happened to Charlie Kirk? And let's be so for real for a second. Like, let's be for real. Charlie Kirk did a lot of this. I'm not saying he deserved it by any stretch of the imagination. I have never subscribed to that. I personally said I wasn't going to be sad about it. But Savannah Guthrie's mom, even if you want to be like, well, Savannah Guthrie said this or she did that or she interviewed this person. What did her mom?
Exactly.
An 84-year-old woman who is on medication that she needs to stay alive. And let's be so for real, based on that last message that I saw Savannah and her siblings put out, my interpretation of what they were asking for at this point was a return of her body. Like, they did not say it. That is what I inferred from what I heard. They were no longer asking for proof of life.
I will say that I pray for, in my own way, I pray for the best outcome for them. But it did give that feeling, but I'm hoping I'm wrong, right? Like, I cannot fully say what she was saying. Like, I couldn't imagine being in that position, right? But I'm hoping for the best for her, but it did kind of give off that vibe for sure.
It did. That's what I took from it. And we all know about assuming things and reading into things. It's, everybody's going to have their own opinion. Kind of why we do conspiracies and coffee in the morning, because everything's a conspiracy theory now. But it's to suggest that anybody deserves that, let alone an 84-year-old woman who had gone to church earlier in the day and had dinner at her daughter's house and got dropped off is just fucking wild.
The whole thing is just like so incredibly sad. Like, listen, we're not all the best people sometimes, right? Like, and I'm going to fully acknowledge that. But I think I always held like a very firm line with like Charlie Kirk. I wasn't going to make fun of it. I wasn't like, those are not things I'm going to do, because I believe he has children that could not that I'm that I'm not like trying to like glaze myself, but I would never want his kids to see me make something gross. Like, that's what bothers me the most, you know? Like, granted, I don't think we should be celebrating anybody's death or like even being like it's okay, but yeah, like I mean, everybody has their, I'm not hating on anybody who felt differently, but I don't think anybody deserves to die or be kidnapped or any of that crap. So I think that's really what it comes down to. And those comments really shitty. And I don't know how these people live with themselves. And I don't care if you're on the left making videos where you were celebrating Charlie Kirk, or you're on the right saying, well, she didn't deserve it, but she kind of deserved it. You should probably feel a little shitty. I said what the fuck I said.
I mean, let's just put it this way. Karma is really only a bitch if you are. So be careful what you put out, because you get back what you put out.
And yeah, very true. I had one other thing I wanted to go over. Did you have anything else today?
No, really, that Department of Homeland Security budget is really like there's so much. Like, I didn't cover half. Like, I have pages of fuck shit that they are doing with our money, but you can only cover. I only have the bandwidth to cover so much at a time without losing what audience we do have.
No, you're good. It's been a weird day today. We usually get a little bit more on and popping, but TikTok,
we had a lot of people in this morning for coffee and conspiracies, but you know, here we are.
Maybe we need to put on the hats. Maybe that's what
I mean, I do. I have my hat handy, but I really don't want to like go get it.
No, you're good. The only other thing I kind of wanted to cover, because I thought it was interesting, and just if you've been in the DC area, this is something you need to be aware of. So the DC Department of Health, not the CDC, which is weird, but I'm not saying they haven't tagged in, but they're working to isolate cases related to a measles exposure that may have been related to the March for Life. I know everybody is profoundly shocked that people who oppose abortion may not like vaccines. Anyway, multiple exposure sites have been identified, and the date range could be anywhere between January 21st to February 2nd, dating the cases. The Children's National Hospital has even alerted patients to possible exposure within their emergency room, because see, here's the fun thing about measles. Even if you don't know you have it, you're already contagious. So they had somebody in their emergency room on February 2nd with a patient confirmed who did have measles. The best prevention for measles is getting yourself vaccinated. In a previous life, I worked in vaccines for a long time. Now, there are people who can't get vaccinated, but herd immunity is so important for that. We have had a horrendous measles outbreak that has been really ongoing for the better part of a year, over a year now. It kind of wanes down and then it peaks back up. So 95% of people who contract measles are not vaccinated, just so we're clear. 95% of them. The other 5% fall in weird factors like immunocompromised, unable to get the vaccine, other things like that. And it is actually one of the most contagious diseases we have just on the fucking planet. If you are not vaccinated and you are exposed to measles, 9 out of 10 people will contract measles. And just to make it even more scary, people are contagious before they know it, as I already said, and a simple cough or sneeze can be suspended in the air for around 2 hours. So congratulations, you were unvaccinated, you caught measles, you didn't know you had it because you are contagious before you show symptoms. You cough or sneeze in a Walmart, congratulations, you may have infected a bunch of people in Walmart. Good job, geniuses. So anyway, it's not... contrary to popular belief, it's not deadly for everybody, but there are long-lasting health implications that you can have, or I'm sorry, I don't know why I said effects that you can have potentially for measles. The bigger part of it is it's very dangerous for the normal groups, immunocompromised, younger children, even really just under 10s, like under 10s is where we normally see it, or particularly elderly patients, right? Like anybody that's in that normal group, you're going to throw them in the measles group. It's going to be dangerous. The best way to prevent it, get vaccinated. If you don't know if you're vaccinated, you can go to your provider. You can get a titer. They're super easy. They're actually not that expensive to get, even if you just have to pay out of pocket. Or it will not hurt you to just get another fucking vaccine. You can walk your ass into Walgreens and be like, I need a measles vaccine. They'll give you one. They don't give a shit. So
even if you're on the, I don't like vaccines, and I listen to Kennedy and I listen to Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz has even come out and said the efficacy rate of this particular vaccine has been well documented, well proven, and tested for decades. This is one of those you really need to get.
Well, I want to stress again that there is zero actual merit in any claims that it's related to autism. Studies that show that, like one study quoted during RFK, it took me all of a minute, having worked in public health, and that's what my bachelor's is in, to break that study down and tell you it came from an anti-vax group. So it's obviously like got biased leanings. All of a fucking minute to look at who funded the study and find that out. But here's the thing. If the worst possibility to you is that your child may have autism, please don't fucking reproduce.
That fucking part.
I would rather, granted, I want to be clear here. I am not trying to minimize struggles that come with autism. But I want to say this. If that's your concern more than your child dying, you have a fucking issue. Kass must still be getting paid by Big Pharma. You know it.
I've been laughing at that for like a full 90
seconds. I didn't even see it. Sorry, but I just wanted to say that.
How's that Big Pharma check? When are you taking me on vacation?
I fucking listen. If you can get me paid, hey Merc, what you doing, baby?
Hey Bayer.
I know, right? Let's do it. I will promote vaccines, babe. Yeah,
if we're willing to sell other things, we can sell our opinion.
I think it may be, I'll have to look up. I can't even remember who makes that MMR vaccine right now. Maybe Sanofi. I can't remember. But yeah, so that was kind of what I wanted. I wish I had some happier news to end on, but I want to see Gene Wu pop off on the shit I talked about earlier with Aaron Reitz saying he's going to come for denaturalizing Gene Wu after completely misconstruing his statements. I will be coming to y'all on Friday with the absolute update on whatever Gene Wu is going to pop back with, because while I don't agree with Gene Wu on a lot, he's got some zingers, man, and I want to see where this goes. But Republicans are feeling the heat in Texas, and it shows. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, we've gone over a lot today. Any final words? Anything?
No, just apologies for not being available yesterday. Life be life, and sometimes, and we will be back on Friday, and I'm sure that we will have plenty to cover. I know that we're waiting on that Fulton County decision to drop at some point today.
So I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I know that we wanted to cover that on Friday, so we had a chance to really dig in and make sure you knew everything that went along with it. So that'll be something we'll be talking about on Friday. And who knows what fresh hellscape will present itself
So
between then and
true.
now.
No, so Friday, two things I'm going to cover on Friday. There was a ruling out of the Fifth Circuit regarding mass detention of immigrants. Now, the Fifth Circuit, by the way, is Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, or is it Alabama? I can't remember right now. But it only applies to 3 states. So before everybody, throws their panties in a wad, I agree it's not good for the 3 states and mine included. However, I want to make sure that I really understand what I'm reading, because I'm going to tell you the actual opinion was rough and I felt like I wasn't fully, so I'm going to really read over that and I'll come back to that with like an explanation on that decision on Friday. And then also, the Fulton County one, we're getting, so they did the Fulton, they went in and they took all the boxes and the ballots and the shits. But now the judge said, whoever made this affidavit, we want to see it. So that's getting released. So that's what we're waiting on. So we'll be telling you what they said that led them to this probable cause to issue the warrant to search Fulton County. So we'll be back with that on Friday. But
we'll see you guys on Friday. And to the people in the chats that are upset that you didn't get a shout out, we typically don't do that up here because we're having a discussion with each other. So love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We love you and appreciate you. But we will see you all on Friday.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Love y'all.